that the CDF scope would be expanded.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us from Kanchibiya constituency, that was good news.
Mm.
Now, good news in the sense that this fund is political. This fund is beyond and above politics. This is development.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen that the last 3 years, Kanchibiya has been able to see the fruit and the results of this particular fund, and especially the expanded scope.
Mm-hmm.
Allow me to also say that a centralized kind of system does not really work well and favor rural communities. Under a centralized system, you are going to have members of parliament queuing, before a minister and begging a minister, when are you coming to do this road for us? When are you building that clinic for us, etc. With a decentralized system,
Mm-hmm.
which CDF forms part of, the decisions are basically left to the people,
Mm-hmm.
and the people become masters of their own destiny because they understand their challenges.
Mm.
In understanding their challenges, the people then would determine to say, what then do we need in terms of priority? Yes, we'll have a catalog of requirements or needs as a
Mm.
constituency. In terms of leadership, that's why now we come into shortlist. But of course, whatever we shortlist is informed by the direct input and feedback from the people through the established channels such as the ward development committees,
Mm-hmm.
the councillors, their royal highnesses, the headmen, the civil servants, the churches,
Mm-hmm.
every one of us sitting together and say, these are our critical needs and these are issues we need to respond to.
Mm.
And even before I get into the issues of Kanchibiya in that regard,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that even before we can receive the funding for the year 2025, in the case of Kanchibiya, that money is already gone.
Mm.
That money is already gone because we know exactly where that money is going to be spent. And immediately that money hits the account, we begin to spend. So we are in a hurry and we do not have the luxury to then play politics or play ping pong when it comes to development. Quickly,
Mm-hmm.
going to some of the things that we have looked at under 2024. Let me start with infrastructure. We have completed and we still have ongoing projects around roads, bridges, underwater schemes in Kanchibiya constituency.
Mm.
When we come to the agriculture sector, we again pushing, for example, the inputs for our farmers funded by CDF,
Mm-hmm.
the CDF Input Support Program, which comes to basically compensate for the gaps left by or created by FISIP.
Mm-hmm.
Kanchibiya has 25,000 farmers eligible for FISIP. Only 5,000 are on FISIP, leaving out 20,000 of our farmers.
Mm.
And under the 2024 farming season, we have distributed farming inputs, that is 2 bags of urea, 2 bags of D compound, and 10 kg of seed to 502 farmers across Kanchibiya constituency. Each of these farmers is going to cultivate 2 lima, and we believe that that is one way that we can use this fund to push our people. The mainstay of our economy as Kanchibiya
Mm-hmm.
is agriculture. We are looking at, we've invested in equipment such as the excavator, and it is in our plans that, we'll start irrigation and dam construction in certain places of Kanchibiya constituency with the equipment at our disposal right
Mm-hmm.
now. And when we come to the educational sector, I can tell you that we have gone flat out to construct additional classrooms and also new classrooms in places where what we had was just a semblance of classrooms.
Mm.
And sometimes I hear colleagues in urban areas making fun of 1 by 3 classroom blocks,
Yeah.
but they do not understand the difference a 1 by 3 classroom makes in a rural setting. That is a game changer. Now you move children from learning under a tree to being in a modern classroom block.
Mm-hmm.
You move children from drinking water from a well, a shallow well, to drinking piped water powered by solar. Now, these are game changers. And today, there's no child in a government school in Kanchibiya who's sitting on the floor. all children are sitting on desks. This was not the case 2 years ago. When we moved 2 years ago, you'd walk into a classroom and it was a sorry sight. Children would come with pieces of chitenge from their homes. Others would come with sacks filled up with grass, forming the semblance of cushions, just to make them comfortable as they learn. As the case is today, all our children are sitting on desks. The problem we have, which we continue responding to, is that we must construct more and more classrooms, more and more classrooms. And what we're doing now is that we construct a classroom, we have desks already on standby. On completion, desks have to move in and children have to sit on desks. We come to the healthcare facilities. We have made progress on healthcare facilities, and as we speak, we are now constructing the second maternity annex in Kanchibiya. The first one is at a place called Chikakala. We are constructing another one in an area called Chinkobo in Kabinga, within Kabinga Chiefdom, Mbati Ward. We are hoping that we are going to construct 2 more or so under 2025 to ensure that maternal health is given the attention that it ought to be given. We are looking at the construction of health care centers or facilities, areas where our people would walk very long distances. We are shortening those distances by bringing health facilities closer to where the people are. And when we come to rolling out electricity, we have put solar power in a number of facilities, but we still remain with a very huge challenge, and that is taking electricity into areas such as Kabinga Chiefdom, which is the only chiefdom in Kanchibiya out of 4 chiefdoms without electricity. This is an area surrounded by vast water bodies with a lot of potential for the aquaculture industry and also just a blue economy. But without electricity, you realize that people would harvest their fish, but how do they store this fish? How do they add value to this fish, etc.? And so one of the things that we are trying to really push for and working very hard, engaging government, engaging RIA, is to make sure that electricity gets into Kabinga Chiefdom. Those are in terms of the sectors. Those are some of the things that we have done. We have worked on the roads. We have worked on bridges as capital projects. Some of the bridges we've worked on had never been worked on since 1964, and these are key bridges connecting the different parts of Kanchibiya, and also playing a critical role in promoting commerce for our people. I can give you an example of a bridge called Aluni Bridge. Aluni Bridge sits on a Kanchibiya River. And this bridge is one of those facilities that people of Kanchibiya had cried for, demanded for years and years and years, from the time we got independence. And when any politician who campaigned in Kanchibiya constituents would promise to construct that bridge. And you can imagine that from 1964, the people in Kanchibiya had been accustomed to those stories. So when we went in and people would say, but these are just stories. One of the things that I did was to make Aluni Bridge and another bridge called Kaunda Bridge topical in Parliament. I did engage the minister, both on the floor of Parliament, but also outside Parliament, that this needed to be done. I engaged the president on these 2 bridges. I engaged the Minister of Local Government on these 2 bridges. And we are grateful today that these 2 bridges are behind us. It's history that the people of Kanchibiya now can see Kaunda Bridge, and we're just working now on the road connecting Kaunda to Mwansabamba, but the bridge is done. With Aluni Bridge, the bridge is done. The 20-kilometer road connecting from Luchembe Copper Road, connecting with Chalabesa Copper Road, that is underway, and that road has been done. Probably like 80% of that road is done. We are working on, we've worked on the state of the Luchembe Copper Road. Is what it is today is not, so where you would spend 2 hours on the road, today you can move from on that road and get into Copper within 30 minutes. And we have moved into, so there's no place where, of the 4 chiefdoms where we can say that there's any place where we have not worked. Under 2025, We have one of our key roads. This road is called the Chambesh-Chinkobo Road. This road has not been attended to again since times immemorial. This morning, I got a video of an accident which happened on this road yesterday, a vehicle which flipped, and there was a near casualty as a result of that accident. And the people in that video are saying, listen, this is what we elect our leaders and they do nothing, about this road. The good news is that for the first time under 2025, we are going to work on the Chambesh-Chinkobo Road after many years. Now, people have been accustomed to people saying, no, come and do it, and so politicians will make all those promises and go away. I have said to the people in that area, when we campaigned, they said, if you don't work on this road, don't come back. But they said, if you're going to work on this particular road, you don't have to come back and campaign in this particular area. Now, I said to colleagues and the residents of Kanchibiya, that on my own as Sunday Chanda, there's very little that I can do. My job as Member of Parliament is to lobby. And when people see me lobbying from government, when people see me lobbying from the president, I did an open letter where I talked about this particular road to the president, lobbying that help us with this particular road. I've engaged the Minister of Infrastructure on this particular road. I've engaged road development agents on this particular road. I've engaged Ministry of Local Government on this particular road. And I'm here very optimistic that come 2025, the people of Kabinga, the people of Mpepo on this particular road will see that something new is going to happen. Something new is going to happen. This particular road. This road is critical in that it sits right on the verge of the Chambeshi River. Now, if we are going to talk about promoting commerce in the form of agriculture, in the form of value addition to the fishing industry, this road becomes very important. So those are some of the things that we have been talking about. We've got a lot of challenges. I mean, some of these challenges, of course, have to do with delayed inputs to us small-scale farmers. I want to place on record that the agricultural sector has not performed as it should have, and I'm talking about the FISIP program. And there's every need, and I want to make this clarion call to the government, and I want to make this clarion call to the Ministry of Agriculture, that it cannot be a business as usual. It must be unheard of that farmers must queue and wait for farming inputs for weeks and for months, or even when the farming season has already started. It's an indictment on the Ministry of Agriculture. It's an indictment on the technocrats in that ministry. It's an indictment on that ministry as a whole, that we are failing to plan. And we know that when you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. This time around, we must be talking about mechanization for this particular sector. And if we cannot bring about even mechanization for the smallholder farmers, especially in areas where the rain pattern is favorable. But even when the rains are delayed, these are areas with vast water bodies. So irrigation becomes the easiest way to go, that we can support agriculture and have the sort of year-round production. Whether it's our maize, whether it's our beans, whether it's our soya, etc. Places like Kanchibiya can give you agricultural produce all year round. Allow me to also talk about the CDF utilization. Kanchibiya has been very prudent in terms of the CDF utilization. And on this score, again, allow me to say that we saw that during the course of 2024, the Minister of Finance mopped up funds, CDF funds, back to Minister of Finance and Bank of Zambia. And sometimes this process has worked against especially rural constituencies, for the simple reason that rural constituencies have very few months when they can deliver and implement projects. For example, we only start implementing projects effectively around April after the rains, because certain places are inaccessible.
Yeah.
So it'll be April, May, June, July, August, September, October, just about 7 months. November, the rains are here, and with the onset of the rains, certain projects cannot be implemented. And when we have to apply for these funds and retire and etc., and then wait for the ministry to send us the funds. This has really hampered the pace at which we would have loved to implement our projects. There, at some point, our contractors had nothing to do because we could not pay them. We're waiting for funds to come from the ministry. Now, this is already eating into our time and our quest to ensure that we implement our projects in a manner that we deserve for them to be implemented. So allow me again on this score to make an appeal and a recommendation to the Ministry of Local Government, being the custodians of the Constituency Development Fund, that a time has come for us to move away from the equality model to the equity model. There are unique challenges that you find in rural constituencies, which you do not find in urban areas such as Lusaka Central. So if you're going to give, for example, the same amount of money to an urban constituency versus a rural constituency, and then they are all treated to the same to the same processes in terms of accessing these funds, are the ones who suffer the most with the rural constituencies. In an urban constituency, if you're talking about Independence Road, if there's a pothole in Independence Road, even if the CDF money is not available, central government will have to move in because that road is critical. I mean, the president is going to drive on that road anytime. And so all the institutions are here. But for those of us who are in the rural communities, the more we delay in accessing funds, the more we delay in terms of bringing service delivery to our people. Lastly, we in terms of the equity model, our colleagues in Kenya, and Kenya has a constituency development fund, which they lent from us. But over the years, Kenya has perfected the model. What they do is that a percentage of the CDF allocation is given to all constituencies equally, but the percentage which is left for the vulnerable or the most needy constituencies, rural constituencies, and that is shared amongst these constituencies, the least developed constituencies, on an equitable basis. That is the only way that we can allow for rural constituencies to play catch up and to start closing the gap between urban and rural constituencies, urban and rural areas. There must come a time when this country must be talking about not just the urban drift, but let's start talking about the rural drift. I can tell you that if there are sectors that will create jobs, sectors such as agriculture, and sectors such as agriculture will only make sense in rural areas and not in urban areas. We can, as a matter of fact, have a lot of our citizens moving from urban areas, going to rural areas to go and set up and form the the value chain, the agricultural value chain, then connect these to markets in urban areas and over and beyond our borders. But this only starts when we begin to place value on doing more for rural areas. The moment we ensure that rural areas have got the sort of roads they must get, they've got the communication, we power them up with electricity, and we power them up with skills training centers, and we ensure that rural areas have access to finance. We ensure that agriculture is working. We ensure that FISIP is thought through once again. We ensure that between FISIP and SAF, the agriculture credit window, we place more value. And I want to again say on this platform that time has come for Zambia to rethink FISIP. FISIP, under the circumstances, is not giving us a sort of deal we're supposed to get. Like I'm saying, I come from a constituency where right in the agriculture season, you have a lot of our farmers who are still waiting to redeem their inputs. But imagine if we took even that budget, the FISIP budget, and that became an agricultural fund. We can give an agricultural fund, we can give loans, we can give finance to small scale farmers. They'll get the sort of finance, we'll pay them through the bank. We can still recover those monies. I know the fear is that people are going to pay, but people are ready to pay. I can give an example of what we're doing with the CDF, with our loan program under CDF. Kanchibiya now has a basket fund. People are paying back, and from the basket fund, we're even able to finance other loans within Kanchibiya constituency. That can be done. Our people are ready, and once we have that agricultural fund, who said that we must exclude civil servants, for example, from accessing agricultural funds? If a civil servant is 6,000 kwacha, why don't you allow them to get a loan from an agricultural fund? You know that they're going to pay. And the more we get our people engaged in the agricultural sector, the better for our economy.
Well, looking at everything that you mentioned and also appreciating what you have achieved so far in Kanchibiya under CDF, let's also try and look at the challenges that you have faced, apart from funds being released late, but also in implementing these projects, the developmental projects in Kanchibiya. Let's appreciate the challenges that you have faced, and then also let's get to look at the lessons that you have learned, in which 2025, come 2025, obviously you would have known what to do and how to get these other projects going, and obviously giving that much needed development to the people of Kanchibiya.
I think one of the challenges I would address would have to do with a human resource, getting the right expertise. Now, remember that originally the Constituency Development Fund was designed to be superintended over by the member of parliament.
Yes.
Of course, now decentralization and etc. The member of parliament plays a sort of role that he plays, but the member of parliament is not involved in the procurement, etc. And I would not want for a member of parliament to be involved in the procurement. And the disbursement of funds. That should be a no-go area for members of parliament. But in terms of capacity, what we need is that the member of parliament's office, National Assembly office, must play a more role in the sense of getting specialists. If we can have a member of parliament's office with say an M&E specialist, monitoring and evaluation specialist, we know that we can follow through, and in terms of the implementation, it becomes very easy for us to follow through and understand what it is that is being done. So that disjoint, the interface between the National Assembly office and the local government office in terms of human resource becomes critical. Again, human resource is an issue at local government level. Now, with the rollout of more infrastructure projects, you want to have your quantity surveyors, for example, at local government level. So for a constituency and district like Kanchibiya is a district and constituency at the same time, 8,800 kilometers squared. It's a vast constituency. But for a constituency like Kanchibiya, and bring in a quantity surveyor, the question must be, how are we going to manage to pay? How will the council generate revenue to this quantity surveyor? But we need a quantity surveyor because the buildings, the infrastructure we are putting up must be of a certain standard. So how do we attract qualified human resource, which, as you know, human resource systems form a critical component of decentralization. So you have your financial systems in place, but you also want to have your human resource systems in place, attracting qualified human resource to ensure that the decentralization agenda is fast-tracked and delivered in the manner that it should. The other, of course, challenge would be that, away from the equity concern I address myself to, there are vast constituencies like Kanchibiya. Now, if you compare Kanchibiya with Selwa district, Lusaka district is 360 kilometers squared, and it has 7 constituencies. Kanchibiya constituency is 8,800 kilometers squared. It has 1 constituency. If you get Lusaka district into Kanchibiya, it will give you 24. So 24 times get Kanchibiya district into, get Lusaka district into Kanchibiya. It will go in 24 times. You look at Ndola district. Ndola district will get into Kanchibiya probably about 10 times. But you talk about the number of constituencies in Ndola district. Talk about the constituencies within Lusaka district. And then you talk about the number of constituencies within Kanchibiya constituency. So this is a constituency that's as vast as 8,800 kilometers squared. What I'm calling for delimitation. Kanchibiya needs to be delimitated. We need about 2 or 3 constituencies coming out of this one constituency. That is the only way we can bring about development closer to the people. And when some of us have called for amendments, non-controversial amendments, even to our constitution, it is because we are also saying that places like Kanchibiya, if our people will get the true value from the decentralization, see improved delivery, and ensure that our people begin to feel that they're part and parcel of the strides Zambia is making 60 years after independence, then we can talk about delimitation. Can you imagine that the 36.1 million of the CDF was to come into Kanchibiya 3 times? And the sort of impact that would register on the ground. But as is, we have this sort of money which must respond to the challenges the whole constituency. And sometimes I go into certain places of Kanchibiya and the people say, but you have neglected us here. Why? Because they've seen projects happening elsewhere and we haven't moved into those areas. And because of that, the notion would be that the member of parliament is tilted in terms of development or skewed towards certain areas and neglecting these other areas. And sometimes we have those who want to play very cheap politics, trying to form that as a political narrative, even when they know that development does not happen, at once. Rome was not built in a day. Tafisa ngameno ya mukano. That's what we say to the people. But imagine if we had more constituencies out of country, the pace at which we deliver development to our people would be faster. Sometimes people say that no, but there are very few people. If you compare the population of Kanchibiya to the population of Lusaka, Lusaka is more densely populated. Lusaka district is more densely populated. Yes, that is true. But the only way that you're going to attract economic activity and attract numbers to a place like Kanchibiya, it's when we have all these requisites in place. Let's have communication. Let's have electricity. Let's have people know that I can cross, and all these linkages, etc. Then people can move into rural areas like Kanchibiya and help to exploit the untapped potential, inherent in these areas.
Now, I know last time you were here, you talked about the radio station, the community radio station built by CDF money. I know, if I'm not mistaken, I know it's operational now, but then let's get to look at programs that are running on this station. How is it helping in disseminating information, obviously, on how people can access CDF? Because we know this has always been a challenge, especially when the UPND came into power, on how people can easily access CDF, the loans, the bursaries, and things like that. So how does this community radio station come in disseminating that information, how people can apply for CDF money, loans, and everything, as well as also the projects that you are doing? Are they also running on this radio station to disseminate this information?
So just as a point of clarification, the radio station is complete. We did the test transmission and the test transmission was successful. When IBA came through, they said that the mast was needed to be reworked, and now we are working on the mast. Once the mast has done, the radio station goes into operation in the first quarter of 2025. And the reason why we came up with the need for us to have a radio station as Kanchibiya is because of the information, the poverty of information, or the inaccurate information, sometimes a lack of information, that people would not know what was happening and the opportunities within the district. As you know, that Kanchibiya had been a part of Mpika for so many years, and hived off, and it became a new district. But even when it was a new district, Kanchibiya is a place that was highly neglected in terms of infrastructure. And even when we would rely on Mpika FM on one side, Mpika FM would only transmit into certain portions of Kanchibiya and not cover the four corners of Kanchibiya. So certain areas of Kanchibiya would have to be serviced by Kasama FM. Certain areas of Kanchibiya would have to be serviced by Radio Mano. Now, with that, then you want to imagine the sort of disjointed information that the people of Kanchibiya were being fed with. Now, with the radio station coming into operation, initially we should have had it coming into full operation the last quarter of 2024. But because of the must and the advice from IBA, they are the authority and they're supposed to give us that now you can go and begin to transmit. This particular radio station is a game changer in terms of Kanchibiya constituency. For the first time, Kanchibiya as a district will have its own flag bearer in terms of Radio Kanchibiya, Kanchibiya FM. But not only the information to be tailored will be information that the people of Kanchibiya would find relatable. The people of Kanchibiya will know what is happening within Kanchibiya, but they also know what is happening outside Kanchibiya. And we are also going to bring, it's an opportunity for us to bring Kanchibiya to the world. The idea is that this particular radio station is going to also take advantage of the internet penetration and ensure that you can be in Lusaka and you still find Kanchibiya FM on Facebook and be able to understand what people of Kanchibiya are doing. In terms of opportunities, but also in terms of challenges. So this is a very important facility for us. We are very, very excited. And when you walk through Kanchibiya, next time you're in Kanchibiya, please feel free to visit our radio station. And allow me again to make a call that we look forward to partnering with a radio stations such as 5 FM and many other radio stations in terms of programming to ensure that our people are not starved of information. Some of the information may not sit pretty well with those of us who be the leadership in Kanchibiya, but the people deserve to know. Some information may not sit well with the government of the day, but the people of Kanchibiya deserve to have that information for them to make informed decisions.
Well, so quickly, because I know you are very much active in terms of lobbying for quick development in your constituency. But then let's get a look at, do you have any initiatives, like developmental initiatives or economic initiatives that you are, working on, especially for the people of Kanchibiya come 2025 and going forward, economic initiatives that you'd love to work on or that you would love to embark on, so that the people of Kanchibiya at least are not left out of the many economic progression that this country is taking or undertaking?
One of the, as I said in my preamble, that Kanchibiya's mainstay of the economy is agriculture. Now, we need to migrate our people from just subsistence farm, where people can go with a hoe and, produce a bag, 2 bags of maize, etc. We need to raise our people to a point where they begin to realize profit from this particular sector. One way of doing that would be us looking at a value chain. For the first time, and I'm thankful to the Tralad and the government of Zambia, they have a bulking center in an area called Kabulamwiko. The agricultural bulking center in Kabulamwiko under Chifu Mpepo, just on Kama Road, becomes a very important feature in terms of connecting our farmers and ensuring that agricultural produce gets to the right market. The idea would be that, all things being equal, the bulking center at Kabulamwiko is one thing we would wish to replicate in the different parts of Kanchibiya. As you know, 8,800 kilometer squared with one bulking center. And then you talk about the distances. Farmers from the different parts of country would have to travel to bring the produce to this bulking center for aggregation, and then the market linkages that becomes a tall order. So one of the things we are looking at is to ensure that in terms of the value chain, we place more emphasis and we continue to lobby both government but also the private sector, that private sector coming into Kanchibiya, and especially private sector that has a bias towards agriculture, and a private sector that has a bias with safe financing. A bias towards financing becomes critical because our people will generate profit. Our people will have the money. They will have cash, but where do they take this cash? This cash has to be banked, and we are inviting commercial banks. We are not safe, Zanaco, name them, come into Kanchibiya. We are working on ensuring that security is improved upon. Police presence will be fully fledged in 2025, and we are hoping that the commitment by government that they'll construct a fully fledged police station, which is like a police district, for us becomes very important, because then investors, both the private sector but also government, can be assured that they can bring a bank into Kanchibiya and the monies will be safe. An investor will bring investment into Kanchibiya and that investment will be safe. So, but over and beyond that, we are also saying that the capacities we're building within our farmers, is to move them from just being consumers, but to think of moving from 2 acres to 1 hectare, etc. We talk about tourism. Tourism is one sector that offers a lot of potential for rural areas like Kanchibiya. We may not have Victoria Falls, but tourists can walk into Kanchibiya and experience our way of life. So eco-culture tourism becomes very important. We have traditional ceremonies in Kanchibiya, like the Chinamanongo traditional ceremony of the Bisa-speaking people. It's one of those traditional ceremonies we plan to continue marketing, and that come 2025, would have more and more people participating in this traditional ceremony. Also from a point of view of preserving culture, but to showcase what the heritage and the culture of Kanchibiya is made of, and it's all about. We are looking at getting young people to ride on internet penetration, and the more reason why we are pushing for more towers in Kanchibiya. And these are conversations I've been having with the Ministry of Science and Technology, that we need more towers. We've got 2 towers. Contractors were awarded to this day. Contractors have not done nothing on those 2 particular sites. We'll be writing to the ministry officially to complain about these particular sites, because these 2 sites, connectivity improves in Kanchibiya. Connectivity improving in Kanchibiya, our people can get into businesses such as your mobile money businesses. We want someone from whether it's some in Munikashi or someone from Chinkobo, knowing very well that they can transact and they can do their mobile money transfer. They can check their bank balances. They can look at what products are available elsewhere and be able to transact online. That is what we deserve. So the penetration of the internet becomes very important. But again, the towers. There's a program by government to boost already existing towers from 2G to 3-4G. And again, this program has seen very little progress, if any. We are saying to the ministry that these projects mean a lot for our people. How are we going to unlock rural areas if we don't improve on connectivity? And again, we are saying to RIA, in the same regard, that if we're talking about electricity must be given and available to our people. Now, 2 years ago, we released 1 million from our Constituency Development Fund, given to RIA, in the hope that we're going to see electricity getting into places like Kanchibiya. And we haven't seen anything in that regard. And the people of Kanchibiya will have every right if we say to the RIA that give us back that 1 million kwacha, because with that 1 million kwacha, we can set up a solar facility in a place like Kabinga and be able to power up facilities, but also be able to push and support commerce, whether it's for the young people or the women in that particular area.
Well, this is the Burning Issue Thursday edition on 5FM Radio. And of course, allow me to remind you that we are also live on our partner radio stations. That is iWave FM in Chingola, covering the rest of Copper Belt, as well as Platinum Radio in Dola, covering also the Copper Belt province. Also live on Spice FM, that is in Kabwe, covering Central Province. Not forgetting live as well on Muchinga Radio in Muchinga Province. Live on Tuta Radio, that is in Luapula Province. We are also live on our Facebook page, 5FM Radio Zambia, as well as our YouTube channel. Honorable, allow me to now go national. Let's shift our attention from Kanchibiya. Let's talk about national development. You will agree with me that for a very long time, Zambia has practiced rhetoric politics than reality politics, where it's all talk, but there's never action. We've been talking of economic diversification, moving away from dependence on mining in terms of copper, at least shifting to agriculture, manufacturing, in short, industrializing Zambia. We need to move from the rhetoric and come to reality. And I think I've seen you've also been very vocal about it. But then, how can this diversification become reality? How can we just switch from copper dependency, 80%, 70% copper dependency, to other sectors of the economy that hopefully or probably can boost our economy, and we move away from the developing nation or a third world country to at least somewhere where somebody can point to Zambia and say, well, there's economic stability?
So the starting point is that the biggest problem that we must respond to, and which this country must say enough is enough. And when I talk about this country, I'm appealing to the citizens of Zambia. 60 years after independence, it is high time that citizens said to those of us politicians that we have had enough of your self-entitlement. Now, politicians and politics become the biggest problem and the biggest cancer that this country must deal with and cure. For the simple reason that politicians can get away with a lot of rhetoric. A politician can promise heaven on earth. A politician can promise in every garage. A politician can promise a chicken in every pot. But beyond the promise, who is holding us accountable? We must move away from just saying words don't matter. A politician to a point where we can say words, and sticking to your words speak to your integrity. So say what you mean and mean what you say. So my first submission is that the number one problem this country has is politics and politicians. This problem is bigger than any cancer. And until and unless citizens themselves come up with a prescription and raise the standard, raise the bar, to allow politicians to set their own standards, you allow politicians to set their own bar. I'm a politician. I'm a politician. And the moment you allow a politician to set his own standard, what we get is a service that is way inferior to what you deserve. Now, politicians, just like government, anyone elected to office, from the president to the councillor, is a servant of the people. We are not masters of the people. We are servants of the people. That's number two. The submission I'll make is that citizens must take particular interest in understanding and following up on what political parties present as manifestos. Because manifestos begin to inform policy once government has been formed. So interrogate these manifestos, and maybe it must be a requirement that a manifesto must be translated in all the major languages for people to understand what a political party, a particular political party, is talking about. Thirdly, citizens must take particular interest in national development plans. Zambia started with the first national development plan from Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, and today we are talking about the 8th national development plan. Now, what do we promise, or what is government committing itself to under the 8th national development plan? And who is following through, and who is ensuring that the 8th national development plan is being adhered to? So who is tracking the implementation of the 8th national development plan? From where we sit, the 8th national development plan is supposed to inform each and every decision government takes. So whatever decision, whatever policy pronouncement government makes should be leading us towards attaining the goals we've set for ourselves in the 8th national development plan. This country has, for an example, what is called the Vision 2030. Under the Vision 2030, this vision is not a partisan vision, it is a national vision. We have said to ourselves that the year 2030, Zambia must become that industrialized middle income nation. Who is following through? And I want to also make this challenge to civil society organizations and to the institutions of learning, the academia, the student bodies across this country. You are the cream of the nation. You are the cream of the nation. Interrogate the Vision 2030 and give feedback. Let your voice be heard in terms of where we are. Let us plot where we are in terms of our journey towards actualizing the Vision 2030. Let us get feedback from the students and from the citizens and from the academia, from the research institutions. We have institutions called think tanks in this country. But sometimes you wonder what these think tanks do, because think tanks must be telling us in terms of the 8th National Development Plan, this is where we are. In terms of the Vision 2030, this is where we are. What is working, what is not working? How are we ensuring that the Vision 2030, the 8th National Development Plan, is again discussed in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals under the United Nations? Zambia is a member of the United Nations. And to what extent is policy being informed by the SDGs that we've set for ourselves, whether it's an SDG on education, health, water, etc.? Mention it. There must be that collaboration. Even in terms of CDF programming, the only way that Zambia will be able to say that we've been able to make progress in terms of getting to actualize the SDGs and realizes SDG this and SDG that is when, even at a local level, programming around CDF, priority areas around CDF is informed by these particular goals, SDGs. It's informed by the National Development Goals. It's supposed to see how it feeds into the Vision 2030. What am I saying in short? The people must take particular interest. Zambia does not belong to politicians. Zambia belongs to citizens. Zambia belongs to students. Zambia belongs to the workers. And Zambia belongs to the young people who are not even yet eligible to vote. This is their country. The time and the moment we generate a level of interest in our citizens in terms of matters of public affairs, and to remind politicians that you are not our masters, it's the other way around. I can be member of parliament today, but I'm not the master of the people of Kanchibiya. I'm there to work on their behalf. My role is representation. So this becomes very important. Now, we can talk about economic diversification. This song has been sung from the days of Kenneth Kaunda to date. And what suffocates this space? Politics. Citizens also have a role to demand that the substance, the quality of our politics in this country ought to change. You allow us to spend all the time in that parliament, sometimes politicking, and we can argue one against the other, and sometimes it's on things that don't add value to the citizen. We need to get to a point where this country must break the partisan spirit. The partisan spirit in this country is too strong. It's stronger than democracy itself. And until we break the back of the partisan spirit, we'll never get anywhere. I'll give you an example. An opposition political party is a government in waiting. What is the role of an opposition political party? The role of an opposition political party is not just to be an armchair critic. The role of an opposition political party is to provide checks and balances, but also to provide alternatives, but also to commend what is working, but also to condemn what is not working. But we don't just end at condemnation. We go further and we begin to provide options and alternatives. We do so because the idea is not to make whichever government is in power, whether PF or UPND, fail. Because we know when a government fails, it's the people who suffer. Let us provide alternatives and let's have ideas contested for. Now, once we have a contestation of ideas in the political market space, the citizens will be able to say that political party has better ideas than this political party. Our democracy, 60 years after independence, must get to a point where we are not talking over and speaking over each other's heads. Let us engage. Let us dialogue. Let us disagree when we have to disagree. Let us agree where we must agree. I'll give you an example. I hear stories of people who would say that, no, Sunday is pro UPND. I hear that story. He's no longer PF. I hear that story. And I ask them, but why do you say so? They say, no, because you are always talking about CDF. When I talk about CDF, I'm talking about CDF because of the change and the impact it's had in the lives of our people in Kanchibiya, but also in fast-tracking the development in Kanchibiya. But I'm the same Sunday Chanda who come on this platform, and I'll tell you that FISIP as we have it is a fluke. FISIP as we have it is not going to take us anywhere. I will tell you that the agricultural sector is limping. Put climate change aside. We need new thinking in terms of the agricultural sector. And maybe there's fatigue with the technocrats at the ministry. Maybe there's fatigue. What we need is to say, as in the words of scripture, you cannot put new wine in old wineskin. So the whole idea of, no, this is how things are done and this is how it must be done. This is a program which was initiated and introduced by late President Levi Mwanawasa, and at the time, the late Mundias Katana as Minister of Agriculture. The idea was that 3 years after being on the program, a farmer must graduate. Farmers don't graduate. Therein is the problem. We have close to 4 million farmers who must be on FISIP in this country. Close to 4 million, 3.5 to 4 million. We are only providing for 1 million farmers. About 2.5 to 3 million farmers are not getting the support they must be getting. What are we doing to the 3 million farmers? And yet we're saying that we need to diversify from the mining, from the mining sector. Let's diversify agriculture. We're still, it's a joke. We talk about smuggling. As a little boy growing up in Ndola, I would hear songs on radio. Chipo Cham Zambia, Mulando Aba Smuggler, by I think the late Teddy Chilambe. Smuggler, Wapuisho, Bunga. I was at primary school, probably in my 4th grade or 3rd grade, and I would hear that song repeatedly because being in Ndola, maize was being smuggled into DRC. Today, smuggling of maize has continued into DRC. What is that telling us? DRC is a yawning market for our produce. What are we doing to ensure that we grow sufficiency and we can produce in bulk, feed ourselves, but also be able to supply a market like DRC? Whenever we plan in terms of this particular sector, we must be able to understand that Katanga province, for example, is our 11th province. So we can talk about these things. I'm not the first one to talk about these things. Different generations of politicians have talked about these things. But where's the practice? Where's the action? How are we ensuring that we change and we flip the conversation that yes, with what is happening in Ukraine, with Russia, the supply chains have been disrupted. So how do we take advantage of this? Your maize from this country can have very good market in China, as an example. We have FRA, as an example. FRA will buy maize from the farmers, and at some point they'll say, no, we have bought enough. So now the farmers can find their own markets and whatever it is. But why are we not rethinking FRA into an export agency that they can buy crop, find better markets, get better deals for this particular crop, sell it on very good markets, and give better money to our farmers? A bag of mealie meal or maize, which are going to probably sell for 300 kwacha in Zambia, is going to cost maybe 3 times, 4 times just across the DRC border. What are we doing to ensure that we flip the script? So what am I saying? The biggest problem, my brother, is that citizens have left the conversation to politicians. This country belongs to 20 million Zambians. And because it belongs to 20 million Zambians, we must all take particular interest. Sometimes people think, oh no, this president is going to, there's a president who comes as a magician. The more reason why we must also take interest, and let's put down also to the agencies. The manifesto says this, government policy says this, but why are you as an agency doing this? Why? Because all of us are shareholders in this company called Zambia.
Well, there's a whole lot of questions that I can ask on this issue, Honorable, but then we have to engage the listener also to their say or hear their take and probably ask their questions. But before I do that, you've been very vocal about a Napsa bill that you want to present to Parliament.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. What is this bill all about?
So, this is about the workers in this country. This is about the retirees in this country. For a long time now, we know that the workers, the retirees, have made passionate pleas with regard to amending the Napsa Act to allow lump sum payments on retirement. Now, this is coming from the understanding that here is someone who's getting, for argument's sake, 7,000 kwacha per month. And they've been making contributions to Napsa. On retirement, you start giving them 1,000 kwacha per month until they die. In certain cases, I know of cases where people are getting 900 kwacha, 700 kwacha per month. Now, retirement then becomes a dreaded phase of life for our workers. And so workers fear to retire because they know that they're retiring into abject poverty. From getting 7,000 kwacha as takeaway home, you start getting 1,000 kwacha every month from Napsa. What the workers have been asking for is that, number one, allowing that lump sum payments gives the contributors, the workers, access to significant funds that can be invested in business, housing, or education, or empowering these individuals economically. Of course, there has to be the financial education that has to go with it. Many retirees and contributors, face pressing financial challenges, such as medical bills, debt, which can be resolved with a lump sum payout. Giving a lump sum to the workers also allows them to play a particular role in boosting economic activity as beneficiaries spend or invest their funds in the various sectors. And contributors have the option to choose how to access their savings, ensuring that the system accommodates diverse financial needs and priorities. Now, there are also best practices. Now, this call is not an irresponsible one. We don't want Napsa to be grounded to a halt in terms of financial or its capital base. There are many countries which allow for lump sum withdrawals as part of the social security system, demonstrating the viability and the benefits when managed properly. But what this can also do is that in the conversation and in the amendments, we must also talk about safeguards to ensure that the lump sum withdrawals do not compromise the long-term financial security for retirees. That is very important. So there are many models across the world, even here in Africa, of how the lump sum issue has been treated in different jurisdictions. And all we are saying to Napsa, on behalf of the workers, is that this is a matter and a conversation whose time has come. And in dealing with it, we are not saying that it should kill Napsa's investment portfolio, but we are saying that Napsa's investment portfolio should not come at the expense of that to contribute to the fund, and contributing to the fund on retirement. What are these workers getting out of it? And so, as representatives of the people, as a representative of the people, I have retirees in Kanchibiya. I have workers in Kanchibiya. And on my other trip into the constituency, this group accosted me. And they showed me how much they're getting. That they can't even manage to buy a bag of fertilizer from the monthly pay that they'll get out of Napsa. There are some where someone has worked for years and just getting their medical bills attended to is a challenge. And as member of parliament, I have to find money within my own means to help them get attended to medically. This must not be the case. Social security is so as to allow the workers to enjoy retirement. We know that this cannot be done, it cannot be done overnight. But we must begin from somewhere. It's a responsible call. And I want to believe that we have a responsible government in office
Well,
in that regard.
well, thank you so much, Honorable. Let's now get to start picking calls. You can put on your headsets. The number is 0955 221515. That's the number that you are calling us on. Good morning. You are through to the program.
Yeah. Good morning. This is Elvis calling.
Yes, sir, Elvis.
Yes. Good morning, Honorable.
Good morning, Brother Elvis. How are you doing?
Yeah, fine. Compliments of the season, Honorable.
Compliments of the season to you too, my brother.
Thank you. Let me start with the issue of which you have spoken about, the issue of engagement. You, as MPs and the top government officials, some of you, we call you, you don't take calls because you think that maybe we'll be begging for money, or maybe we want to remember what some of the officials have promised to some of the people. But what we want is to engage you in some issues. For instance, there are people who disagree with you in your constituency. One time I called you, tell you to clarify one of the issues which was raised by one of the people who were calling a radio station. But sometimes when we call you, you don't answer, because as we listen to the radio, you are speaking very well about your constituency. But some of the people think that you haven't done enough, especially that you have concentrated on some areas and not concentrated on all the areas in Kanchibiya. But luckily, I'm very happy you have explained today on the radio. This is why we need to engage with you. When we want to engage with you, don't switch off your phone, or don't think that maybe we want you to ask for something. No. It's because you have heard someone want to water down the work you have done in your constituency. For us who know you are a hard worker. We know you've done a lot with the people of Kanchibiya. So when we try to highlight these things to you, don't think that maybe we want to do something contrary to what we want. We just want to engage you and notify you what the people are saying. But you have explained very well to me. This is what is needed by all MPs. Because now we are going to 2025. 2026 is just behind the corner there. And the MPs who just perform, because we have heard many MPs, people complaining every day on the radio. I don't think these MPs should be anywhere near the rims of power in those constituencies, because people have cried enough.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I'm finishing. There are two issues I want, very critical ones.
Please.
On the Napsa bill, please, Chanda, that bill, to Parliament. True. You can't get 1,900, 800 kwacha. When a person was getting 7,000, 8,000, then you are given 1,000, and you are not given any money as to go here to honorable. That is very bad. I think it is killing the people. You cannot come from 7,000 and start getting 1,000 per month, of which you can't even buy a bag of fertilizer, as you know, saying. So, your bill, honorable, your bill. This is why the people voted for you. Lastly, honorable, there is an issue here. The people have come to me because they always come to so that I speak for them. The issue of ZNS meeting, honorable, you who is in the parliament, Twevere Nico, about in charge. ZNS at Yari Perama agency, Wunga, Abare, Bungo, Bupari 250. Then they are not allowing anyone to buy Ubunga Bumo, Kamore 10, Pulista 20. And these people, when they buy this mini meal at 230, they come and sell it at 250. Bambivale Stisha Mono Bunga 300 what was ZNS. This is killing the government's effort to make sure that the price of mini meal Yabwera honorable. Otherwise, I would have spoken enough. Let me leave space for others. But honorable, you have spoken very well. Me, I've got no problem with you. Mudalanda, we know. And
thank you very much, Elvis.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Elvis.
All right. Please let's ensure that we stick to the 50 minutes which we are giving so that we can accommodate as many callers as possible. Hello, good morning. You're through to the program.
Honorable Sunday Chanda, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Moderator.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you.
Release your manager there.
I will.
Sunday Chanda in Kanchibiya, you have managed to remove Martin Mara. I want you to tell me what the government did do, because when you go to Pedro Road, that road is inaccessible. All those roads in Ruapula used to be controlled by PO. Come to Garden Road. Go to Chawama right now where Tasila Lungu is. That Chawama Road is dead. There's a lot of people. Now I want you to tell me what you have had. The more you find it under Martin Marama, we see on you in Facebook, and we want to salute you because we do go to government to beg money. So we want to appeal to people like Honorable Kampiongo. Also must come to office to beg money for office of a Garen Combo President because right now there is only one government. And the Chanda to 2 million and you Sazingo put your country out.
Thank you so much, Morgan. All right. Let's see if we can pick another call. We are getting your calls on 0955 221515 0955 221515. That's the number that you are calling us on. So Facebook, I have one message. This is from Monsanje Chimunya. He says, good morning, Honorable. We are listening to the program, and are you still going to present the Napsa bill in the next sitting from monthly salaries to lump sum? All right, let's pick this call. Hello, good morning. You're through to the program.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks. Your name and where you're calling us from.
This is the Honorable Kingfred, who is also aspiring candidate for Kanchibiya Consul. Good morning, Honorable Sanderson.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good, and you? Honorable Sanderson, I've been trying to call you from what's come upon. Number you Pariwana Kampanda, Parichi, Sheko, number and the president, 1 million of program. I don't tell you I'm a road, Honorable. He Tikakara turn to Kuska Kutamanga. Therefore, I go with home there. The issues you talk with them, but the Munda Stamp. Jacopolo, the other you say that you are going to work home. Jacopolo, this is the state, come home there. Second, the Mwombo Community School. So I don't know to Kureko, one the Castle. Marandira to the council over Moses, adding the application. Council and that application more than 5. But you do not respond. Namuefa kutina mushana ngenza pa aira ndiyo the budget pako Mwombo Community School. Government teacher alala mushopu mumba ni mwamukiwa. Number dragi ni mumba ni mwamukiwa. Take careful. If you know your Chama teachers who have come areas, but particular because of poor houses. How about Mwombo Community School, preacher on top of chapter, previous government, PF, but you also have to run down a Pumuna in a Panondic Kanchibiya, make them more answering. I am a post on Facebook. I cannot see any development. The pictures
Thank you so much.
lastly usheshedi mwari kula ida kupita fertilizer abantu bamukupokera kupomoko district indisetse tenda district ni sama fertilizer fertilizer abantu barekenda kamokamu kwa kiniko isoko na thank you abantu barekenda six but apoenda kamokamu finish thank
Again, Fred.
you
Machanda timulemi na pa tonse mu 2026.
I'm a aspiring candidate for 20 Alliance. The Chanda to
Okay, but Mulesta aspire pa tonse mu 2026.
Hello?
Mulesta aspire pa tonse mu 2026 mu Kanchibiya.
Kanchibiya constituency. I'm aspiring as a candidate. As an MP under 20 Alliance.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kinfred. Well, you can probably respond to the three callers as well as the comment on Facebook.
Thank you so much. So the comment on, just remind me the comment on Facebook. Let me start with it.
Okay, so he's asking, when are you presenting this?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So the procedure is that we submit to Parliament. We submit a private member's motion, and that has been done, seconded by the Honourable Member of Parliament for Nalolo constituency, Honourable Wamunyima, a colleague I have a lot of respect for. I remember that when I moved the private member's motion to improve the conditions of councillors countrywide, this is a colleague I worked with on that particular motion, and we did the secondment, and grateful that members of Parliament from both sides of the House were supportive, and again grateful that the government was again very, very supportive in that regard. So we are working together on this particular motion, basically urging government to bring these amendments to this particular act. We have stated the motion, and as you know that Parliament is now on recess. We are opening in February, and we are hopeful that as we open Parliament, we'll have good news for our workers, for our retirees, and in between now and then, I think it's just to call on colleagues like Mr. Chimunya that we continue from wherever you are, engage your lawmaker, engage your member of Parliament, let them understand the importance of this particular law, and see how best that this can be done. Let me just qualify and say that, you see, in certain countries allow members to get a percentage, say maybe 40-60% lump sum, and then what remains is what the contributor get until they die on a monthly basis. Let me move to proud. Thank you so much. This time New Year. So I'll come to your shopping garden and get something from your shop for New Year. This time it's your turn to take care of me. In terms of what we have done in Kanchibiya, I think that's what we started with. There's a lot we've done in Kanchibiya, a lot, and it's just important that we continue having these conversations. There's a lot we've done in Kanchibiya. These things, these reports will be found at Parliament. These reports will be found, at local government. Information is there, so there's no cooking of what is being done. To my brother Elvis, apologies that yes, I've missed your calls and which I've not responded to. Be rest assured that I'll respond to your calls. I think that at the time the calls were coming, that was the time when I was very busy with my exams, and had very little time to attend to the calls as I would be coming in. And sometimes the best time to have conversations, even when Parliament is sitting, is in the morning, early in the morning, but also later in the evening. Those times by Elvis always work out the best, because in Fimbita Filaingilam, as you know, We don't just represent Kanchibiya. Sometimes, we have issues coming from our colleagues from other parts of the country. And because we are national leaders, by being in the National Assembly, we have an obligation to hear and understand what the people, for as long as one is a Zambian, what they're raising as an issue. And then let me come to King Fred. King Fred, aspiring parliamentary candidate on Tonse, and I wish you the very best, my brother. The roads he talks about, these are roads in our work plan now. As I've said earlier on this program, Kanchibiya was one of those places which was highly neglected, highly. The road he talks about, Chikakala.
Okay.
I was on that road, I think a week or so ago. The road he talks about, Chakopo. I was on that road about a week ago. And I had meetings in Chikakala, had meetings in Chakopo. So ba competitor ba King Fred, ngabaya ba pa Chikakala, nangubaya pa Chakopo, bakaya umfa if you're abantu. We had an investor earlier who committed that they would work on the Chakopo Ntamanga Road. So yomusewa ufumamu Kasama Road. Waingira pa Chakopo. They waingira pa Chakopo. Romfutu waya koneka. Ero waya kuchala besa. Ntamanga epo tuwa kwa chala besa mini hospital. So ula pangati ni L, kwat ni L shape. Ukakole indira wipi, but kudeko ule ya mkufumino kwa kuchala besa utadi. Then ingatwasala ndapali Chikakala Road. Chikakala Road naena ile fumamuka Kasama Road. Yaingira mukati. Chikakala Road. Ifyo tabalande fyo kobati tunatu twalipanga Chikakala Bridge. Chikakala Bridge yalipo ngayalipena abantu sana fyo. We worked on that bridge, and what we are now doing is to ensure that tuwomberomba pamusebo ukupita pali bridge twapangire elomba tuya tuikatanye uyu musebo fwira waikatana na Chakopo Road.
Okay.
Ngawakata na Chakopo Road nish tuwapanga na shortcut yabantu ukulafika kuchala besa bwangu. So there are a lot of these things, and for any Muombo Community School, Muombo Community have been there, but you see, like I've said, the pace ya Kanchibiya, pace ya Kanchibiya na ngwinda lama chesa Kanchibiya, resource envelope ya Kanchibiya, teyaku bomba fe madimu, ibomba mawadzali 10. Elo tuwesa mawadzali 10. Wadi barera ndapo bashukuru bantu aba, where we have Muombo Community School. You realize that is the word equated the first maternity annex Kanchibiya. A lot of projects have gone into this ward. The first government boarding school is being constructed in this ward. This is what we lobbied for when the Minister of Education came to Kanchibiya. He found me in Mpika, and I want to pay global tribute to the Minister, Honorable Douglas Yakalima. From Mpika, we drove together into Kanchibiya, and these were the issues we're talking about. And we have a boarding school. At some point, this boarding school was removed. Now, when we speak about development, King Fred Nelo Mukababa MP, we antashta wisangameno ya mkanwa. Kanchibiya is too vast, and maybe on one of these days, I will invite you to travel with me so that I show you Kanchibiya. What you see and know as Kanchibiya is not Kanchibiya. It's only a fraction of what Kanchibiya is. So I invite you on my next trip. Join me. I'll show you what Kanchibiya is and how vast Kanchibiya is.
Well, we pick more calls. 0955-221515. That's the number that you are calling us on.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Wakalamba Mabombeni. Tulivyobuina. Watande Chanda mwanamfu mushani munina.
Mwa fresh Mabombeni.
Mkwai wachamala ni kuzinga lumi.
Na totela mkwai.
Mkwai. First and foremost, I love the way you articulate your issues. If you mfuaya umusogoreri. Na kutirisha po watande Chanda. Ine
naine amweuba pusha. That's all I feeling in Dalama. Only my personal capacity to Napsa. But it's sereta cueva in Dalama. Isha cueva java bomb, Sivasturila. Valesra no Kuriabuino and the Cairo Vale bomba. Every other is Samukura Nonka. Ni mueve nei muove va per Dalama shown similar politician. Anga iko kwemba bombi. Twala perera twa Chanda mkulu. Ili twala ni kuparenti. Depois quickly repeat. Vale va per lamba bombi bonse na ine ne uibara pusha. Vampera shote na shwe kita. Satuli vana va kuchita nombati yo. Pakemfo indalama pakemfa. Ero nomba bule tupela ama sese ya 500 kwacha. Nishomba twala kuisaba Chanda mkulu. Ili na repeat kwena. Only one so a meaningful member of parliament must vote this for whoever Chabantu, but a kerede. Let me pare was under Chanda. Up to nine, then Java Nandi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chamal. And 0955-221515. That's the number you're calling us on. 0955-221515. Good morning. You're through to the program.
Good morning, hotel from Masande Mashuken.
This is 5FM radio.
Oh, 5FM Mashuken Masande.
Ntende mkwa mashuken.
Nine Douglas Muni Chumpala Chingola. Masande Chanda, Wakumana Nakavi. On several occasions, I've told you on this platform that Kanchibiya is not Zambia. And Zambia is more than Kanchibiya. You've been coming on this radio posting about CDF. Today's topic, you've changed your thought. You are disappointed with CDF. I wish you had known this from wake-go. CDF is a waste of life.
Sorry, Mr. Ngoni. Mr. Ngoni, sorry. For starters, let's have a conversation. Where did I say I'm disappointed with CDF?
Sorry, from the way you are talking, you are talking that CDF has not done you well. You've been threatening CDF with the campaign.
Mr. Ngoni.
Yes, please.
When I was in grade 4, let me tell you, when I was in grade 4, my teacher told me that misunderstanding is understanding to the one who has misunderstood. So don't misunderstand me.
Okay.
CDF is working very well in Kanchibiya. Very, very well.
Okay. That's that statement. Let me go ahead with my question. Let me finish, and you answer me later on.
Yeah, but don't tell me. Speak the truth. Don't misquote me. I won't allow you to.
No, I didn't misquote you. You are just talking about Kinfred. He said he's going to challenge you on don't allow.
Let him come and come and campaign with him.
Listen, Chanda, don't cut me. Let me talk. You talk. No one has let me talk.
Go ahead,
you
Douglas. Make your comment.
Let me. Don't cut me. Let me talk. Understand. I've told you before. Kanchibiya is not Zambia, and the way you've been posing CDF, here we are. CDF has not done anything. You are complaining there that Kanchibiya is so bad.
No. We won't allow you to tell lies. Don't misquote me. You can misquote me.
I'm quoting what you've been saying.
Mr. Ngoni,
if you're going to you're going to lie.
Mr. Ngoni.
In the day.
Okay. Seems like we couldn't get hold of each other.
Just a quick one. You see, it's a problem that we have adults who resolve to be so irresponsible. I've said that CF reports for Kanchibiya are public domain.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said that CDF is working in Kanchibiya. So because someone may not agree with me politically, to them it's about, oh no, this is bad. One thing I don't do, I listen. What I don't do is don't tell lies about me when I'm still alive. Reserve those lies, tell them after I'm gone.
Oh, let's pick this call. Good morning, you're to the program.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, thanks. Your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm Fanu Mangala, senior citizen.
You are through to the program, senior citizen.
Honorable Chanda, or my nephew. Good morning, sir. Thank you. I was thinking that when we worked together at one time, I got along with you. That's what I see some call from me. It was along such kind of thing. But I did not receive any of your reply from the call that I made. Anyway, it's nice to hear that you are still actually enjoying your right, the political life of this country. That's my wish. If people have said something from you, okay, anything about you, just like I would say it also. Because when you have your destiny, then you hear rumors such as defection, you become worried. You can't just keep quiet, real. Because you feel you are going to lose, or you have actually lost it. If people that would make similar sentiments about you along such side, we are happy you are actually performing to the expectations of your electorate in Kanchibiya. That's what we need. And we know that you may not even be, you may think of going, probably think of another political party probably that you would like to align yourself with. Not only the UPA, it could be the other political party. That is it's your political right to do that. Nobody can stop you. I have only one question for you as I wind up. How do you see the UPND from one angle of the rule of law, more special? That's my concern myself. And I want to be very, 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 very honest with our people. Or some of the state institutions that they have continued abusing. What would you say about that? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Fanu Mangala, for coming through. Well, I thought we had run away from politics, but
they found us.
They found us. So you can respond to the callers.
Thank you. To my uncle, Mr. Mwangala, glad to hear your voice and the compliments of the season. I hope that you're doing well and your brother is doing well too. It's been a while that, since we last spoke. Know that I have colleagues such as the old man, Mr. Mwangala, who we worked with very, very closely. And now that, much of my time is spent in Kanchibiya, it becomes a bit of a challenge to see how we deal with these issues. But suffice to say that I miss you, and I miss the team. I miss your team, great family. Mr. Mwangala, Elvis, the whole crew. I really miss colleagues. I really worked very well with them when I was media director for the Patriotic Front. Mr. Mwangala makes first and foremost very important statements. Number one, it's the defection, the defection, and the allegations or the rumors, sessions, etc. Now, when a time comes, and if it comes for me to change political color, I'll come on this radio station and I'll announce it. Unfortunately, what people do is when I say CDF is working very well, and thank you, President Akainde Hichilema, because what they want me to do, some of them, not everyone, but there are those who want me to be criticizing the president every day and every day and every day. Now, that is not the sort of politics I subscribe to. I subscribe to politics where I'll provide criticism, I'll offer checks and balances. Even when I talk about emotions such as the Napsa one, I don't do it in bad faith. I do it in good faith, because I know that government has a mandate to respond and to listen to those cries of the workers and the retirees. And when I bring it, it's not because I'm doing it out of mischief, from a bad place. My intentions in politics are very clear. And I've said to colleagues that I was not born a politician, and I'll not die a politician. There'll come a time, if God gives me life, when I will say that I'm done with politics, and others can still come and pick it up from where I would have left. So in terms of my association, my alliance, I will associate with anyone, irrespective of their political belonging. And I've said to different audiences, and I'll repeat, that this is time to work. This is time to work. This is to deliver for the people. I have elected to prioritize development over politics. For me, politics, partisan politics doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The people in Kanchibiya will tell you it doesn't matter for me. And if that's the only reason why people of Kanchibiya will not vote for me, so be it. Because I'm not going to promote what I don't believe in. What has killed, and like I said, even in a preamble, what has killed and what has left a number of places underdeveloped and also rendered us to be very poor, especially those of us who represent rural constituencies, is the nature of politics as we practice them. Because we practice politics that will interpret everything and anything through the lenses of politics. They say that if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything else looks like a nail. Now, when we are elected as members of parliament, all of us take oath. And in that oath, we swear allegiance to the president. All of us, ruling, opposition, independent, we swear allegiance to the president. The essence is this, that when I'm elected as member of parliament, and when someone is elected as president, in this case, we have a President Hakainde Hichilema in that office. By design, my being member of parliament is depending on his being president. In other words, for the people of Kanchibiya to get their fair share, my role is representation. I'll go and represent them to the president. I'll represent them in the house. I'll represent them to any minister. I'll represent them anywhere and ensure that they get what they deserve as a people of Kanchibiya. But over and beyond, let's talk about the rule of law. The question of the rule of law. Now, the rule of law, by interpretation, means that we are all equal before the law. All of us are equal before the law. The biggest problem this country has had, and successively so, is that from UNIP to date, the rule of law still is a problem. Why? Because, as I said earlier, we've allowed politicians to define the rule of law. What do I mean? Zambia must be talking about strengthening institutions. The moment we strengthen institutions, one of the reasons why to this day, and I'll say it on this program, that I support amendments to the Constitution, progressive amendments to the Constitution, I support them. Once we strengthen institutions, we'll have a better Zambia. We'll have a better dispensation of the rule of law. Now, the police, for example, will remain very controversial for as long as we don't deal with the pieces of legislation to ensure that institutions are strengthened to discharge their affairs away from the political sphere. How heads of these institutions are appointed, etc. Those are things that we, as legislators in that parliament, must be able to speak to. Now, if you are my friend and I am president today and I appoint you from probably struggling as a lecturer, and tomorrow I give you to head an institution, it is only common sense that you don't bite a finger that feeds you. So your allegiance will probably be to me as an individual, as an appointing authority, and not to the institution and the country. Now, there are foundational issues we have to deal with. The more reason why a country must not be scared of amending the constitution to ensure that we strengthen institutions of governance. The police will always be very controversial until and unless we deal with strengthening institutions and we tighten and give them the latitude and the independence they're supposed to get. Anti-Corruption Commission, Drug Enforcement Commission, all these institutions are always find themselves in the political crossfire. Why? Because we've allowed politicians not to divorce these institutions from the sphere of politics. So today, I just have to go back to what was said about the rule of law under UNIP or under MMD. I can read it word for word to provide an answer for Mr. Mwangala's question.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because we are not strengthening institutions. And my appeal would be to the UPND government
Mm-hmm.
that you have no reason to repeat the mistakes of the past. You have a golden opportunity to bring progressive amendments to the constitution and let Parliament deal with it. The number of issues, the aspect of consensus, aspects of consultation. You know, we've had a lot of even constitutional review commissions, a lot of them, that the reports are there, the recommendations are there. We know what the people of Zambia, successive generations of Zambians have said about particular matters. And some still so, but for you to do that, let's go back to the people. So we'll still get, okay, let's go back. And it just becomes this cycle.
Well, Honorable, let's end with an answer to this very important question. Which PF do you belong to? So far, PF looks like it has 3 presidents with a looming 4th president. Former President Edgar Lungu is having a faction of the PF as president. We have Chabinga also with a faction as president for PF. Mao Sampa as well with a faction as president of the same Patriotic Front. Just a few days ago, Chilufya, Honorable, also says he is going to be the only eligible PF president. Which PF do you belong to?
And maybe I'm going to say that I'm the next one too. Listen, it's very sad that we have what the Patriotic Front has been subjected to. For the simple reason that a story is told in the Bible of 2 women. One of these women slept on her child, and the child died in his sleep. And the other child survived. And they found themselves before King Solomon. And both claiming that the live child was there was some swapping of babies in the night. And King Solomon, using his wisdom, said that in order to resolve that problem, he was going to cut this baby into half, so that each of these 2 women could get a portion of the child they were contesting for. The one was not a mother, did not have a problem with that proposal or that decision by King Solomon. But the one who was a mother had a problem and said rather that she has this child than see this child being cut into 2. Bring it back to PF. Anyone who is interested in the survival of the Patriotic Front, of all the factions we are talking about, must only remember that there can only be one Patriotic Front. One. There can be one Patriotic Front. That Patriotic Front, which was founded by Michael Sata and his colleagues, there can only be one Patriotic Front founded by Michael Sata. The contestation of egos, as we've seen it, is what has killed and what is killing PF. And I repeat, the contestation of egos is what is killing, and that is what will eventually kill PF. In Bemba we say, "Ushulumbula mfwa ni mukamwenso. No kwebere mfwa ya kwanoko mutanshi." Now, we had UNIP in this country. UNIP went through the same script as we are seeing today. Same. Where's UNIP today? We had MMD in this country. We know what MMD went through after losing power. Today, MMD does not even have a councillor, the whole country. That's a party which ruled this country for 20 years. Not even a single councillor, the whole country. What lessons did MMD learn from UNIP? Zero. What lessons is PF learning from UNIP and PF and UNIP and MMD? Zero. It is said that the reason we do not have a dinosaur today is because a dinosaur refused to adapt to the changing environment. The moment you refuse to adapt to a changing environment, your fate is extinction. I belong to PF. Forget the factions. I belong to PF. And if tomorrow there's another faction which will be birthed, sad. But what everyone must realize is that may they draw wisdom from the story of those two women who fought over that live child and the wisdom of Solomon. If there's anyone who really cares about the Patriotic Front, then we can see certain decisions in the next few days, in the next few weeks. But if people do not care and they've signed PF's death warrant, then what happened to UNIP and what happened to MMD is inevitable, and it will eventually catch up with PF.
Honorable, thank you so much for coming through. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, my brother, and thank you for this important opportunity. I do not take it for granted. And allow me to also just wish our listeners and the people of Zambia a merry festive season and a prosperous new year. Allow me to also say that the country is going through a very difficult period. We have erratic rains in almost all parts of the country. And number one, let us continue to pray. And our prayer must not be, sadly, in this country, even prayers have become very political. And I don't know what we think about. So let us pray. Those who can pray genuinely, please pray genuinely for the country. Pray for the rains. Climate change is real. We are going through a very difficult period, and because of what we're going through, certain things may not be as easy as I would have imagined for them to be. But the Zambian people are a resilient people. Our unity of purpose, I don't allow anyone to divide you. Sometimes we get divided along all these, imaginary lines and divisions. Please, as we get into 2025, Zambia is 60 years old. My message would be to the young people, to the women, to the men in this country: don't inherit other people's enemies. Create your own enemies if you have to. But at the end of the day, the unity of purpose in this country is what will take us to the promised land. There's a lot that this country has to offer. There's a lot of promise. There's a lot of potential Zambia has. But that potential can only be unlocked when we realize that we can rise above partisan politics, focus on the development agenda, and say what is good for Zambia. We may not always agree. We will not always agree, even in a home. There are times you don't agree, even with a person, whether it's your girlfriend or whether it's there are times you don't agree. But what keeps you together? What keeps you together is to understand that there are all these other considerations. And for Zambia, it's that unity of purpose. Always, let's get back to our national anthem. Let's get back to our national anthem and understand that the forefathers dreamt of us being a land of work and joy in unity, all one, strong, and free. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Honorable. And of course, thank you so much to our partner radio stations that carried this program live on their platforms. This is iWave Radio in Chingola, broadcasting on 90.1 FM. as well as also Spice FM on 91.9 in Kabwe, not forgetting Platinum Radio on 99.7 in Dola, and Muchinga Radio on 88.1 FM in Muchinga, as well as Tuta Radio in Mansa on 90.7. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Thursday edition of The Burning Issue. My guest was Honorable Sunday Chanda, Kanchibiya Member of Parliament, and also from me, your host, Lance Sannie Banda, together with the entire production crew of 5FM Radio. We say thank you for tuning in. God willing, let's be together on Tuesday again with the Tuesday edition of The Burning Issue.
Tune in next week for another edition of The Burning Issue, and thank you for your participation. Democracy and freedom of expression is about tolerating the views that you don't like from someone